The Nazified, the Crown. This video is in relation to the latest, more spectacle, they call it the Counterpoint by National Post, that Canadians have a duty to repatriate all the First Nations for the crimes of the elected and appointed Crown, and to bestow upon First Nations the power of the Crown, the harvesting through slavery, to make up for the inhumanity, the crimes against First Peoples. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Anti-United Nations, which is everything Canada's Crown is, over and over again. They call this bird left and right in Canada a Nazified, which is what? Deeply socialist and fascist. These are people, through their own self-proclaimed superiority, constituted in their highest laws, say, because they're advanced peoples, special peoples, divine peoples. In fact, they're given their powers from God, and the system is divinity, and these people were born to be superior, that their crimes against the First Peoples must be repatriated by the subjects, those under the first class, not the first class themselves. What Canadians and First Peoples have to understand, you can't have divine people since 1945. We went to a world war to end that practice, to end that evil in the world, humanity's evil. That's what all our ancestors, whether they're First Peoples or Canadian subjects, that's what all your ancestors fought and in large quantities gave their lives for. Real freedom. Not subjugation, and not for defined savage class peoples, which is what Canada is through its Crown First Class. All elected, all appointed. They've constituted the highest laws of our land into this idea. Canadians and First Peoples need to get with the program, get with the allies of World War II. You are now more than 105 years late coming on. And it was enshrined in 1945, but developed by the United States even 25 years before that. 105 years. And folks don't want to move on. That's how the world works. You either fit in or you fuck off. When people like the National Post, with their left and right Crown narratives on the same Crown, continue to say the only path forward is to have people we've made less in class repatriate the people we made lesser class. Diversity, equity, inclusion is what they use. It's all right out of the Nazi handbook, which is South Africa's handbook, which was Canada's handbook since 1867. Moralized and transcribed in the Indian Act, 1876. Oldest, worst document for this creation in the entire world that every evildoer has been using for all the years since, more than 150 years. Worst atrocities known to the world. In fact, world wars have been developed over this institution of a superior divine human being. And it's out of the monarchical system, their final creation, final solution, so to speak, to keep people in slavery by having somebody else as a divine savage class, inhuman peoples to kick around so that they'll accept their chains, their bonds, and be happy with that. The Crown in Canada only has two solutions. Either A, they genocide the First People, or B, they enslave and steal from the slaved people, the subjects. They themselves only always get richer and more powerful while the Canadian people go down the toilet and First Peoples sail off into absolute annihilation. It's been going on for umpteen decades, the longest running system of its design in the entire world. And Canadians and First Peoples don't want to wake up to it. You're bombarded every day from this left or right Crown in an upper echelon autocracy. One idea. They give you a left, right, center, and everything in between, even far left, far right extremes for the same outcomes. Either way, it's either destroy the slaves, beat them harder, or annihilate the savage peoples entirely. All while the crown maintains all the land, all their superiors throughout Europe and the Commonwealth own most of the companies, most of the land, most of the resources apparently promised to all of you. Canadians per capita live on the least amount of land, equivalent to the United Kingdom. Since we're 41 million people and there's 66 million people on an island, I don't know, people can't grab a brain to that idea. Worst is the First Peoples who live on 0.335% of land. They never get new expanded reserves. They never get settlements, self-government, sovereignty, none of it. No self-determination. It's always under the crown because they are still defined legally under the still running Indian Act as savage peoples, not human beings. They don't get the equivalent civil rights, human rights, any of it. Deathly illegal in the United Nations, but yet UK and France maintain veto authority to keep Canada going. Not just Canada, Australia, New Zealand, but remember, Canada is the worst model, the worst in the world. It's why we have the highest source of mass immigration. It's why we have the highest standard of living, cost of living ratio. It's unbelievable that you only get a rising standard of living with a tremendous cost of living that's always outperforming your standard of living, meaning we're all going down the toilet. Canadians, you need to wake up. First Peoples, wake up. Stop entertaining the crown. Left to right does not matter. They're only in it to destroy all of you, whip the subjects harder, and absolutely annihilate the First Peoples. Anyone who doesn't see this, you need to read the UN Charter. Then you got to go read your Constitution and the Indian Act. To get anything other than that in this world today, out of it, where you have a different narrative, some kind of great country, you're deluding and lying to yourself. You're not applying those documents and the existing legal system in Canada as it is against the allies of World War II. We're an enemy to that. We're designed to be an enemy. Germany's gone, fascist Italy's gone, Imperial Japan's gone. You know what isn't gone? The constitutional monarchy called Canada that created all of it. It's still designed legally and running that way forevermore. Any crazy psycho from anywhere in the world can pick up the design of Canada, how it institutes subjects and savage class peoples, and can run that in pure genocide, and then they can go, wow, where did I get the model from? That's Canada forever and a day. Anyone who doesn't see this, you're just lying and denying to yourself. You listen to your propaganda media that is anti-humanism. They are the epitome of evil. It's like satanic verses, what's pumped out on media each and every day. Left or right spectrum doesn't matter. They never address the immoral, the evil, the atrocity of it. They just keep spewing it out. This is good, keep going. Oh, Canadians, we'll whip you. Oh, Indigenous people, we'll annihilate you. That's all that ever happens in Canada over and over and over again. Canadians are getting poorer. First Peoples are suffering worse now than they ever have. When are we going to put an end to it? That's the challenge of our time. That's the education people need to know. And you need to know that you have nothing in common with any of the allies. In fact, everything about Canada and its legal design, its highest authority, the Crown, is in fact access power. Always has been, always will be until we, the people, rise and constitute a real constitution for and by all the people. Real sovereignty for all. If you ever want to know the best template, it's south of our border. It's called the United States of America. Anything else is a delusion, a lie, a misrepresentation of reality. People say I'm unhinged. It's like, I'm sorry, you're unhinged if you think it's normal for a country the size of Canada to have, in some respects, 3 to 5% private property in the most densest regions in the world, matching things like Hong Kong. Why would you think that's normal in a country this large with only 41 million people? Why is housing unavailable to you? Why are property rates skyrocketed beyond all measure? It's because you're in an Axis power. You're a living Nazi Germany. Older, in fact, than Nazi Germany. You've always been designed for this purpose. That's what Canada is. That's what Mark Carney is. That's what Pierre Poilievre is. That's what Elizabeth May is. And I can go on and on and on. You name a politician, provincial or federal, that's what they are. That's what they exist to do. And that's their mission. That's what they're instituted to be. And they believe that they're entitled to everything you have and ever going to have. It's their right, not yours. You don't have any rights unless they say you do. That's my video. Wake people up. Share. Get it out there. Don't listen to the propaganda. Media exists no different than Nazi Germany's media propaganda. Canada's always been doing this since day one. That's what how they're paid. Look how your media gets paid. Look how media is banned with United States tech companies that's going to war with UK over the same measures. Because UK thinks that Nazified propaganda is normal. If you haven't been paying attention, Vladimir Putin just gave a 4.5-hour presentation last night. Ready for peace, as long as Europe respects it, which they don't want to. And USA's responding with clear authority, especially with the UK. And it's going to be Europe next. They've already told them. This is coming to an end. And when it does, the Nazified Canada is in a lot of trouble because USA can replace all resources. If you haven't been paying attention to Venezuela and Russia, all of Canada's resources can be replaced within 12 months at a fraction of the cost Canada costs the United States of America today. Wake up, folks. It's all on you. Share. Get the truth out there. The time for lies and denies is over. It's time to grow up and be adults, not subjugated children who can't think for themselves. That's my video. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.